After promising to unleash a dossier on the government-to-government oil deal involving Saudi and the United Arab Emirates, Azimio leader made good his promise on Thursday, terming it as a scam.
Procurement of fuel. It is a grand scam.
Odinga says that the government has been lying to Kenyans over the G2G deal that was set to strengthen the Kenyan shilling against the dollar and ease importation of oil into the country. But to date, this has been to the contrary.
1. There was no G2G. Kenya government did not sign any contract with Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. Only the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum signed a deal with the state-owned petroleum companies in the Middle East. Why Ruto chose to characterize the deal as a G2G is the first red flag that points to mischief in this deal.
What further definition of government to government would this be seeking if a contract signed between a state-owned enterprise in Saudi Arabia and one in UAE and a state ministry in Kenya is not government to government?
Odinga says that corruption surrounding the deal is responsible for the exit of landlocked countries previously purchasing oil through Kenya. President Yoweri Museveni, in a long tweet on social media, called out brokers who he termed as responsible for selling oil at exorbitant prices.
The middlemen President Museveni is talking about are the Kenya government officials.
Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni's name in his shadow boxing of the Kenya Kwanza regime, and we want to call on him to respect presidents of our neighboring countries and not to drag them into his cheap politics and his rumor mills.
In the deal, 3 Gulf government-owned companies, namely Saudi Aramco, Abu Dhabi Oil Company ADNOC, and Emirates National Oil Company were given the leeway to choose any company they'd wish to work with in the country without an open tendering process.
But the hand-picked distributors are selling oil to us at almost twice the price from bulk suppliers.
According to the former premier, the deal is shrouded in darkness, while pointing that the 3 companies handed the importation tender, Gulf Energy, Galana Oil Limited, now Galana Energies, and Oryx Energies, were purposely given the contracts to avoid paying corporate taxes, which eventually ends up in personal pockets.
Kenya is losing billions of shillings in taxes because the 3 companies picked to spearhead this deal do not pay the 30% corporate tax.
We are here today, Mr. Odinga, to adduce any evidence that any of the 3 companies have not been remitting their taxes, not just corporate tax, but all other taxes that are due from them.
The Ministry of Energy is also alleged to have changed billing months to allow the oil companies to quote higher prices.
For instance, cargo that was bought in July when the price was low is allowed to quote higher August prices and pass the burden to the consumer. The deal that Ruto hailed as phenomenal has resulted in high landed costs as a result of structuring of the contract.
His purported dossier lacked any substance and is evidently part of his usual propaganda rumor mills.
In every litre, Raila argues that some leaders are getting a considerable share, while Kenyans continue to suffer under high cost of living occasioned by high fuel prices.
Kwa kila lita ambayo unanunua, kuna shilingi 30 ambayo imewekwa zaidi juu yake. Hiyo inakuliwa na hao watu katikati yao.
Following the dossier, Odinga has unleashed 10 demands to the Kenya Kwanza government, including terminating the deal and allowing EACC to investigate with an aim of bringing the culprits to book.
Ruto must immediately cancel the contract and revert to the open tender system, which ensured guaranteed supply of petroleum products. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission needs to move in, not to sanitize, but to get to the bottom of how and why we got into this deal and who is benefiting from it.
The government has also been asked to reduce the 16% VAT on fuel to the initial 8%, with DCI called upon to investigate tax evasion. At the same time, Odinga touched on the oil importation controversy surrounding businesswoman Anjeri, maintaining that she is not the face behind the oil, but key figures who appear to have differed in business dealings. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.